I am.
All right. So on my first night of legal drinking, I was allowed to go to a bar, went and had a ton of ale and beers, and everybody got shots, and it was great and fun, and had a good time. And then on my 21st birthday, I didn't have a single drop of alcohol. Sounds kind of funny, right? Not quite sure how that works out. I was living in England at the time. 18 is, of course, a legal drinking age in England. So when I got there and I was only 20, my first legal night of drinking was actually underage for what America is. America is 21. Here, we are only one of 11 countries in the world that have the drinking age of 21, 3 of those being U.S. territories. So everyone else in the world is either 18 or there's a few places that are maybe 19 or 20, I think you counted 3 or 4. But pretty much 18 is all over the world. And I'm going to give you some reasons why I believe that should be kind of a universal thing and why we need to lower our drinking age. So I'm going to start with a little bit of history for you of how we came to be at 21 rather than 18. I'm going to give you some reasons why I believe we should lower it. And then I'm going to give you a statistic sort of as to why it would actually help our country rather than hurt. So we'll start with some history. So some history as to the legal drinking age. Obviously before Prohibition it was kind of free-for-all. You kind of said whatever you wanted. Nobody really cared too much until, of course, Prohibition happened and alcohol became a huge issue in the U.S. So after Prohibition was repealed, they did it by majority. Just so happened the majority of people were around 21, and that's what they decided to make the drinking age. Now, it wasn't exactly set for the whole country, though. It was done state by state. Most states obviously just adopted the 21. And it stayed that way all the way until the 70s, when the 26th Amendment came into being, which was the amendment that stated that you were now allowed to vote at 18. Well, when they lowered the voting age, a lot of states decided, oh, we should lower our drinking age as well. If you can vote, you should be able to go into a bar and have a drink. Well, then that eventually led to a lot of fatalities, a lot of drinking accidents in the 70s, and it became more of a thing for the states to voluntarily raise it back up to 21. They wanted to reduce that number of accidents, obviously. And in 1984, they came out with an act. It was the National Drinking Age Act, and made everyone 21. Don't get me wrong, okay, it still was up to the states, but they said that no revenue will go to any state that has a drinking age limit less than 21. Very few states are going to say, okay, we'll let people drink underage and get no revenue for it. So obviously everyone raised it to 21, and that's kind of the history of where we are now. So now that you know a little bit of history, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my reasoning are for trying to lower it. So the first reason is going to take us back to the 26th Amendment. We're able to vote at 18. You are able to choose the leader of the free world at 18, but not able to toast him if he actually wins the election. Not able to go home with your parents and sit down and maybe, have a glass of wine with your dinner. It's kind of a huge thing, I think, to me for political views that, if you are old enough to, be involved in our political process, you should be old enough to go down the street to your local bar. I mean, and if you have to think a lot of bars also have food, but you can't go in and even have food because you're not 21. It's a little bit ridiculous. So the second reason that I have is going to be something that's kind of dear to my heart, enlisting. At 18, you can enlist to serve your country. You can enlist to go overseas and give your life for a country that doesn't allow you to come back and have a beer for it. It's a big deal because a lot of us in the military did go overseas to, let's say, places such as Germany, France, England, places where it's 18, you're able to drink on and off base. I'll tell you the reason for that. Obviously, if you are able to drink off base and then you come on base at the age of 21, how can they differentiate whether you drink off base or on base? So it is still a U.S. territory technically, but it's 18 there. So I think if you're able to go across, and be in charge of somebody else's life and in charge of your own, that you should be able to come back and at least have a drink with that person. And the last reason that I have is, in this country, we are considered adults at 18, supposedly, at least to most people, or at least legally. You are allowed to now rent apartments, you are allowed to enroll in college, you are allowed to, well, obviously we said vote. There are a lot of adult responsibilities that you do get at 18. But again, you're not considered mature enough to go to the store and then buy your parents a six-pack. So I mean, those are main reasons that I have for why I think it should be lowered. But just for good measure, my last point is just a little bit of a statistic for you. So in the US, like I said, because it is 21, there is a big taboo about the drinking and things like that. We kind of tend to make a bigger deal about it than Europeans do, or even Middle Eastern, minus obviously the Muslim countries. So big statistic though, that here in the US, we have 16 million people diagnosed with alcoholism. And this is according to wrongdiagnosis.com, which also says that England, France, and Italy combined do not have that amount of people with alcoholism. And the reason for this, a huge issue, is just alcohol education. Yes, growing up, we all go to DARE, and you learn about the alcohol, and how it's bad for you, and how you should binge drink, and how you shouldn't, obviously, get crazy drunk. But they don't educate you in how to use it properly. They try to educate you not to use it at all. Do you see the difference? It's a huge thing in Europe that you grow up knowing that it's all right to have one glass of wine. It's okay to maybe have 2 beers, on a Friday night. Whereas the parents over here a lot of the times are, no beer, no wine, no alcohol. And it plays a big part in your psyche that it is kind of a forbidden thing, which of course, if you have any of that rebellious tendencies, which a lot of teenagers do, or people under 21, the first thing they want to go out and do is have that drink, is have those. And they don't get the education that say it's okay to have the 1 glass, so they go out and have 5 glasses, or a 6-pack, or, half a keg of beer before obviously falling out stupid drunk. So if we were to maybe lower that age a little bit and it wasn't such a taboo thing, more parents would be more likely to give you that education that you would require to keep you from going into the alcohol-related incidents, the alcoholism, and just being a binge drinker in general. So I just wanted to present all of you with a little bit of this history, show you where we got to this age, show you a little bit about my reasons, and then tell you a little bit about the statistics so you can see kind of what the big problem really is between us and those countries that do have a lower age. And maybe next time it comes up on a ballot or a vote, you guys will actually vote yes to lower the drinking age.
Stephanie, what did you think?
I really liked the introduction. It was not really expected, not one of the survey questions, so that definitely got me listening. I thought the topic was very relatable to the audience, so made it that much more appealing. I like the historical facts and everything. It's not like it's something that's just going into just looking at today's perspective. It shows how we actually got to that point. So I really like that. The only thing would be, I don't know, that could be considered for improvement would be maybe going into a little more detail on how we can improve the safety as well if we were to lower the drinking age, since that is one of the main concerns here. But I thought she did a very good job covering most of the topics and concerns regarding the drinking age here.